Let me ask you something that's going to make you uncomfortable. You know that person who's always happy, always smiling, always positive, always posting inspirational quotes on Instagram, always saying good vibes only and stay positive and happiness is a choice? Yeah, that person. They might be the most dangerous person you'll ever meet. I know, sounds crazy, right? How can someone who's always happy be dangerous? Shouldn't we all be trying to be happier? Isn't that the whole point of life? Slow down. I'm not talking about people who are genuinely happy. Genuine happiness is real. It's beautiful. It's something we all want. I'm talking about people who cannot be anything else. People who have banished sadness, anger, fear, and grief from their emotional vocabulary. People who smile so much that you start wondering what they're hiding behind that smile. Because here's the truth, psychology has known for decades. Emotions don't disappear just because you refuse to feel them. They go underground. They fester. They grow in the dark. And eventually, they come out sideways. In ways that hurt everyone around them. Let me tell you about a concept called emotional repression. When someone refuses to feel negative emotions, when they push down anger, sadness, fear, disappointment, their brain doesn't just delete those feelings. Their feelings are still there. They're just locked in a closet. And what happens when you keep stuffing things into a closet? Eventually, the door bursts open. But here's the scary part. Sometimes, that door doesn't burst open in obvious ways. It doesn't turn into crying or yelling or visible breakdowns. It turns into something much more dangerous. Passive aggression, manipulation, silent treatment, control disguised as helping, criticism disguised as advice, withdrawal disguised as needing space. And because the person is always happy on the outside, you never see it coming. You never know what hit you. Let me give you an example. Meet Sarah. Sarah is everyone's favorite coworker, always smiling. Always saying no problem when given extra work. Never complains, never gets angry. Everyone thinks she's an angel, but here's what no one sees. Sarah goes home and cries in the shower. Sarah resents her coworkers for dumping work on her, but she'll never say it. Sarah's marriage is falling apart because she's been staying positive for 5 years instead of telling her husband she's miserable. Sarah's kids walk on eggshells around her because her fake happiness feels like a trap, like any wrong move will shatter the performance. And one day, Sarah snaps. Not dramatically, not with screaming, but quietly. She stops coming to work. She files for divorce out of nowhere. She tells her kid she needs space and moves into an Airbnb for 3 months. Everyone is shocked. She was always so happy, they say. We never saw this coming. That's the danger. The constantly happy person has trained everyone around them to ignore their pain. So when that pain finally erupts, it's violent, unexpected, destructive, and everyone is caught off guard. Now let's talk about you for a second. Are you that person? Be honest. Do you say I'm fine when you're not fine? Do you smile through conversations that are killing you inside? Do you avoid conflict because you don't want to be negative? Do you post happy pictures on social media while feeling empty? If that sounds like you, I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to warn you. Because that path, that always happy path, it doesn't end well. Psychology research shows that people who suppress negative emotions have higher rates of chronic illness, autoimmune disorders, heart disease, depression, anxiety, relationship failure. Your body keeps the score, even if your smile doesn't. And here's the thing about the constantly happy person. They're not just dangerous to themselves. They're dangerous to everyone around them, because they create an environment where real emotions aren't allowed, where sadness is weakness, where anger is forbidden, where grief is bringing down the vibe, so that the people around them start suppressing too. They start hiding their real feelings. They start performing happiness just to keep the peace. And that's not connection. That's a hostage situation. Think about the people in your life. Is there someone who shuts down every time you express a negative emotion? Who says don't be sad or look on the bright side or everything happens for a reason? Who makes you feel like you're the problem for having normal human feelings? That person might seem nice. They might seem positive. They might seem like they're trying to help. But what they're really doing is telling you that your pain is not welcome, that your real self is too much, that they can only love the performative, happy version of you. And that's not love. That's emotional abandonment. Let me take this deeper. Because the constantly happy person isn't always easy to spot. Sometimes, they're not the bubbly, extroverted, loud smile type. Sometimes, they're the quiet, calm, nothing bothers me type. The one who never gets ruffled. The one who always has a gentle answer. The one who seems almost enlightened. And they're even more dangerous. Because at least the bubbly person is obviously performing. You can sense the effort. You can feel the strain. But the calm, unruffled, Zen person, they've convinced everyone, including themselves, that they've transcended negative emotions, that they're above all that they've achieved some kind of emotional enlightenment. But here's the truth. No one transcends negative emotions. Not monks, not gurus, not therapists. Not even the Dalai Lama admits to feeling anger sometimes. Negative emotions are not a bug in human software. They're a feature. They're signals. They're data. Anger tells you that a boundary has been crossed. Sadness tells you that you've lost something important. Fear tells you that something might be dangerous. Grief tells you that you loved deeply. When someone claims they don't feel these things, they're either lying to you, lying to themselves, or both. And here's where it gets really dark. Some constantly happy people are not just repressing emotions. They're using happiness as a weapon. Think about it. When someone is always happy, always positive, always smiling, what happens when you try to confront them about a problem? What happens when you try to tell them they hurt you? You look like the bad guy. Because how dare you bring negativity to this sweet, happy person? How dare you upset their peace? How dare you be the one who's difficult? This is a classic manipulation tactic. It's called playing the victim by being too nice. The constantly happy person never has to apologize, never has to take responsibility, never has to change, because everyone is too busy protecting their fragile, happy persona to hold them accountable. I've seen this in families, in friendships, in workplaces, in marriages. One person is designated as the sweet one or the nice one or the happy one, and everyone else is constantly managing their emotions, walking on eggshells, swallowing their own truth, just to keep the happy person happy. That's not healthy. That's not peace. That's emotional dictatorship. And the worst part, the happy person often has no idea they're doing it. They genuinely believe they're being positive. They genuinely believe they're helping. They genuinely believe that everyone else just needs to cheer up and look on the bright side. But underneath all that positivity, there's usually deep, unexamined pain. Pain that's been there for years. Pain from childhood. Pain from trauma. Pain from loss. Pain that was never allowed to be expressed. So the person learned a survival strategy of I'm happy enough, no one will see the broken parts. If I smile enough, maybe the pain will go away. If I never show weakness, no one can hurt me. And that strategy worked. For a while. But survival strategies don't last forever. Eventually, the bill comes due. And when it does, it's not pretty. So what do you do with all this? First, let me be clear. I'm not saying happy people are bad. I'm not saying you shouldn't try to be positive or that we should all walk around miserable and angry. I'm saying that constant happiness, happiness that never breaks, never cracks, is not real. And anything that's not real is hiding something. Real humans feel multiple emotions in a single day. Real humans have bad days. Real humans get angry, sad, scared, disappointed, jealous, frustrated. Real humans cry. Real humans cry. Real humans fall apart sometimes. And that's not weakness. That's actually strength. When you can feel your negative emotions without running from them, without hiding them, they lose their power over you. Think about it. What's scarier? A person who admits they're angry, talks about it, sets a boundary and moves on. Or a person who smiles while they're angry, says nothing, and then sabotages you 3 weeks later without you ever knowing why. The first person is honest. The second person is dangerous. So here's my challenge to you. If you're the constantly happy person, the one who never lets anyone see you struggle, the one who always says I'm fine, the one who posts smiley selfies while crying inside, stub. Not forever. Just stop for a moment. Ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I let someone see the real me? What am I protecting? What am I hiding? And then find one person, just one, and tell them the truth. Not the whole truth, just one small truth. I'm not okay today. That actually hurt my feelings. I need help. See what happens. You might be surprised. Most people don't want a perfect, happy robot. Most people want a real, messy, struggling, trying, failing, getting back up again human. Because that's who they are too. And if you know someone who's constantly happy, someone who never lets their smile drop, who never admits to anything negative, who makes you feel like your real emotions are a burden, you don't have to cut them off. But you do need to stop performing for them. Stop pretending you're fine just to make them comfortable. Stop swallowing your truth to protect their fragile positivity. Stop shrinking yourself so their fake happiness can fill the room. Tell them how you actually feel. And if they can't handle it, that's not your problem. That's theirs. Real relationships are built on shared reality, not shared performances. Here's the final truth. The most dangerous person in your life isn't the one who gets angry. It's the one who never does, not because they're enlightened, but because their anger has gone underground. And underground anger is the most destructive kind. It comes out as silence, as withdrawal, as passive aggression, as manipulation, as sudden explosions that make no sense to anyone watching. So if you're that person, the always happy, never angry, never sad, never struggling person, please get help. Not because you're broken, but because you're human. And humans need to feel their feelings. All of them, even the ugly ones. And if you love someone who's that person, don't buy the performance see-through as a smile. Ask the hard questions. Stay when they finally crack. Because the person behind the constant smile, they're usually the loneliest person in the room. They've been performing for so long that they don't even know who they are anymore. And they're waiting for someone, just one person, to say, you don't have to be okay with me. That's the most dangerous person. Not the one who feels too much. The one who feels nothing at all. Because feeling nothing isn't peace. It's just pain that forgot how to speak.